Part of Prohibition, Bill McCoy was the man, the rum runner that you went to for your booze.
Bill McCoy was a Jacksonville boat builder. He ironically was a guy who did not drink. And when Prohibition came along, he was like a lot of people who realized, why am I breaking my back doing legal stuff when I can make a heck of a lot more money in a very short period of time if I just become part of the chain of distribution? And that's the amazing thing about Prohibition. It actually created underground a heck of a lot of jobs.
Bill McCoy's first trip from the Bahamas into the United States was into Savannah. And for that he was paid quite handsomely, $15,000. And you have to remember, this was at a time when commanders of the Coast Guard were only making $6,000 a year.
And what McCoy innovated was going out past the 3-mile limit and having these other boats come out to it.
The high seas began 3 miles off the coast of South Florida, and that meant that ships that were flying the British flag, or any foreign flag, could sit just outside the 3-mile limit, and they would have their alcohol, and anybody who wanted to could sail up to them and buy whatever alcohol they wanted. And that way the rum runners actually didn't have to take any risk, because as long as they stayed outside of the 3-mile limit, the U.S. Coast Guard couldn't touch them. And so this line of ships would be known as Rum Row.
While Bill McCoy was credited with Rum Row, he was also credited with repackaging of the cases of liquor into 6-bottle burlap bags called hams. He did this for a couple of reasons. One, the cases were very heavy, and two, because stored together in tight quarters as they were, with the boats heaving in the waves, the bottles would smash together and would break.
One of the things that you always knew when you dealt with McCoy was that you were getting uncut liquor, that whatever you were purchasing from him, in fact, was the genuine article. It had already been the term the Real McCoy, and it was applied to the stuff that you bought from him.
Because if you purchased liquor from Bill, you knew you had the Real McCoy. Prohibition and rum running was strictly a men's profession, but that's not true. One of Bill McCoy's colleagues was a woman by the name of Gertrude Grace Lithgow. She had actually grown up in the United States and by profession was a stenographer, but later she became an employee of a British distillery. And when Prohibition started, she became the perfect individual to send over to the Bahamas to be the go-between between the rum runner and the distillery. So she was one of those individuals who had a storefront right on Market Street. She actually, at times, would carry a pistol with her, and if anyone gave her a hard time, she'd brandish it, and they would be about theirs. She even went on Bill McCoy's boat with him and stayed for about 3 months while he was anchored off Rum Row. Their relationship was really one of tension. He was mostly very interested in her, but she was not necessarily always interested in him, although I do believe that there was probably something going on the ship, because later in their lives they did get back together briefly. Rum running was a difficult business at best, and one of her captains was arrested in New Orleans, and she was implicated, so she was arrested. And although she was never indicted for her crime, after that particular incident, she retired from rum running and she spent her time writing her memoirs.